Guys, so as I was editing this video, I realized that it got super personal. Oddly enough, so I filmed this video like right after I did my Witcher video, which was like weeks ago, and even though I'm seeing me wearing the same necklace, and I've just gone through like a series of all these emotional things, and honestly this video kind of ended up saying a lot of things, so it is a little bit, you know, emotional. Just a warning that towards the end there will be a case of the sads. Yes, it's disgusting. I'm ashamed of it personally, but at the same time I think it does loop together the thesis of the video, so I'm gonna keep it. But to all my internet crushes out there who might be watching this, you don't know who you are, but I do. Yeah, sorry that I'm about to turn you off by exposing myself as an emotional domestic, but here we go. Hi guys. So yeah, I know technically this is the same makeup I wore for The Witcher, but with a few additions, but I actually feel really pretty right now, so I didn't really feel like taking it off. So I was like, if I'm not gonna take it off, let's make another video. There was a thread by one of my favorite people online, Zipa Blay, and they put up a picture of the women from Sex and the City, and they were like, get rid of one and it can't be Carrie. And it was overwhelmingly Charlotte. And I was so upset because Charlotte is actually my favorite of the group in Sex and the City. I actually really love Sex and the City. I have like the companion book to it, which includes, you know, the terrible movies, which I don't consider canon. But I realized that a lot of people really have this very limited viewpoint of Charlotte because she sort of represents, on the one hand, all of the things that women, and especially white women, white cis straight women, are supposed to embody in order to have a partner. She wants to get married, she wants to have a family, she's obsessed with sort of the same heteronormative things that in a show like Sex and the City, which has so many dynamic and subversive narratives about relationships and love and sex, may seem very conservative and regressive. However, I think one of the benefits of watching the series much later after it was created is kind of highlighting how Charlotte is actually pretty radical of a character, simply because she's one of the few characters in the show that A, has an actual character arc, a personality arc, and grows and changes throughout the series, but B, she is probably the most consistent about knowing what she wants and learning and growing towards getting those goals in her relationships and what she wants. And I find that very admirable. And also, I think that from my own experience from watching the show and having, you know, processed it and watched it while I was in sort of a monogamous, healthy, for the most part, relationship, is that in the way that we talk about relationships and about queerness, we sometimes forget that there are those of us out there who do very deeply, very tragically, some might say, believe in love. And I think that that's noble. So in this video today, I'm going to break down why I think Charlotte is the best character in Sex and the City, besides Carrie. Because honestly, the thing about Carrie Bradshaw is, like, we hate her and yeah, she's annoying, but she's a really dynamic, interesting character. She's Don Draper before Don Draper. So we can't help but stand, even though she's high-key problematic. But yeah, let's get into why Charlotte's my fave. So when I first started watching Sex and the City, like around, I guess, almost 3 years ago now, 4 years ago now, Jesus, I was really prepared to like fall in love with Miranda, who is like the white Maxine Shaw from Living Single. Living Single came first, so bloop. And yet when I was watching the show, the character I found myself really growing attached to and loving was Charlotte. And it was weird because she's not the most popular character, as that thread taught me, and it freaked me out at first because you aren't supposed to like Charlotte. Like in the fandom, like, she's considered a prude, she's considered dumb, she's considered obsessed with men. And when I was watching this series, I started to realize that Charlotte is like the best developed character on the show in terms of having an arc that goes through the entire series that really allows her to end up in the perfect place. So here is why I tell you all Team Miranda, Team Samantha, and you know, the Team Carrie people out there, I see you. I'm gonna tell you why Charlotte, Park Avenue, Pollyanna, York-Goldenblatt is the best characters in the city. First, we need to address the things that are often held against Charlotte as a character. She is a dumb prude who only cares about men, marriage, and traditional life. So first of all, prude. The thing about Sex and the City is that it's actually very tame overall. Like, it is groundbreaking from when it came out, but now it's kind of funny how freaked out they all were about bisexuality or anal sex. And like, while Charlotte is not as sexually adventurous as like Samantha is, all of the women are sort of conservative when it comes to certain things. Like, I remember the episode where Miranda gets freaked out about a guy going down on her and then wanting to make out with her after, and I remember being very confused about that. I was like, girl, what? Like, and it's weird because like, for that never gets held against Miranda, but like Charlotte is the person who is like most open to having anal sex, having a threesome. She like flashes her boob in public once, you know. She's not as closed off as people think that she is. I know this often gets attached to, you know, Charlotte's whiteness, but like even Steve Harvey, like how many people brought those books like Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, like this mentality of like being a little bit more refrained in the public. It's not to me crazy, like not wanting her to loudly talk about, you know, how weird some guys jizz taste at breakfast is not exactly like rigorous conversation. I mean, it's fine, but I'm just saying that like it's extra. Like Samantha is extra and she cannot read social cues, and like I get that her character makes it more interesting because she's out there having sex with everybody, but it's like, you know, we don't have no condoms ever being seen in this thing. I remember when Samantha also just practices like not really safe sex. When she's like, yes, but I don't swallow. I was like, girl, that's not what? Oh, I don't swallow, and that means that you're not gonna get an STI. That's not how that works, sis. And Samantha and Charlotte are both extra for comedic sake, so it's very easy to set binaries about one another, but neither is really a reflection of the morality at its core. They're both ridiculous when it comes to sex. I find this argument that Charlotte only cares about men and marriage to be very disingenuous, because for all of Miranda's cynicism, you know, Samantha's casual sex and Carrie's, you know, Carrieisms, all of them are in search of partnerships and fulfillment, even if it is just sexual from men. Charlotte is just the only one who's upfront about wanting to get married and have a family and have those kind of things attached to it. Like throughout the series, all of the female characters judge themselves by their ability to get a relationship and stay in a relationship. Like Carrie talks about how she doesn't have a special guy or a soulmate on her birthday. You know, Samantha goes through great lengths to try and get Richard to stay with her because she loves him so much and she's so paranoid that he's gonna cheat on her again. And Miranda like looks for male validation in her sexual activity after she's pregnant and during her weight gain. So all of these women are looking for relationships and want to be with someone. It's just a matter of how many of them are willing to how much they're willing to compromise for the sake of a relationship. At the end of the show's run, none of the women are single. Both Miranda and Charlotte are happy. Like Miranda and Charlotte actually end up in the exact same place, which is what makes it so weird. Like they're in the exact same place, and Miranda has her love interest for much longer than Charlotte does. And I think it's also very important to bring up that it is Charlotte, not Miranda or Carrie or Samantha, who has that iconic scene where they say that all of them are soulmates to each other.
The longer I sat at that table, the more alone I felt, and it really hit me. I am 35 and alone.
You are not alone.
No, I know I have you guys, but... And I hate myself a little for saying this, but... It felt really sad not to have a man in my life who cares about me. No special guy to wish me happy birthday. No goddamn soulmate. And I don't even know if I believe in soulmates.
Don't laugh at me, but maybe we could be each other's soulmates. And then we could let men be just these great, nice guys to have fun with.
Well, that sounds like a plan.
I'm 35. 35 is not 25.
Thank God.
I'm 35.
Oh, shut the fuck up. I'm 140.
Charlotte, more than any of the other ones, is the most reliable friend, and Carrie should have never asked her to pay her motherfucking rent.
Carrie, I love you, but it's not my job to fix your finances. You're a 35-year-old woman. You need to learn to stand on your own.
And I'll say this, Miranda, I love her, but there are times where she cannot read the room at all, and she is just mean for like no reason. And Samantha's like absent-minded, and everyone's, you know, everyone slut shames and has these weird things, but Charlotte tends to be the character that everyone kind of like immediately attaches it to, and it's really aggravating. Charlotte is not an idiot. She is naive, but that doesn't come from like a lack of education. It comes from being sheltered. And also, I would argue that Samantha not getting an HIV test until it's brought up is one of the like most naive things I've seen on the show, for a show that, you know, deals so much with like gay culture, being gay culture adjacent and dealing with casual sex. The topics of like testing or healthcare never come up, but we often put the title of the dumb one or the most naive character onto the most feminine person in a group of women. And in some cases, yes, that is played for comedic effect, like Living Single, where Sinclair is like ditzy. But Charlotte isn't ditzy. She's just a little bit less willing to put her entire sexual identity out there. It says a lot more about how we view women and what we allow them to do and how we allow them to express love or sex. It's like, it's one thing for her to do that, but you know, but other people can do it. Like, in my opinion, Charlotte is like the Sansa of Sex and the City. She is a character who I felt like I wouldn't have liked when I was a kid, but I love now. And I think for me, Charlotte in the first few seasons of the show is a collection of all the things women are supposed to be and supposed to want in one package. And, you know, things that we're supposed to want, things we're supposed to be ashamed of all together. And it's very awkward to watch someone be surrounded by women who are toned down in that way, even though I think fundamentally they all have the same desires. It's weird to have someone so openly express, I've been wanting my soulmate since I was 16, where is he? That's awkward to hear. It's weird to hear because you're not used to people confessing that, because you're supposed to hold that in, you know. Charlotte has been told that true love is possible if you offer up yourself as the ideal woman to the ideal man, you know, that they will see your value and they will pick you. And even though, you know, and therefore Charlotte performs this dance of seeking out a partner, the right type of man. And this is something that all women, white, black, Hispanic, everything, we all feel this way in dating, whether we're dating men, whether we're dating, you know, women, whether we're dating non-binary peoples, any kind of folk. Like, this is how we've been taught to date. And we have been taught to find fulfillment through partnership. We don't, to the point where like we legitimately don't even accept ace people in certain communities because we're so not used to the idea of people not trying to get that from somebody else, even though that's just equally as legitimate, you know what I mean? Like, we've told ourselves that relationships and sex are so important to our lives constantly, that the idea that people don't want them we treat as foreign. When she meets Trey, she continues to perform their relationship even though she's not satisfied fully and he's not meeting all her needs. You know, Trey can't get it up.
Trey can't get it up.
But she still believes in their marriage. She still believes in what it represents because he's perfect. And so Charlotte decides to try. And I find that to be so relatable, because when Trey and Charlotte get married, that is the beginning of Charlotte having to evolve from someone who has been taught to want all these things to someone who understands that these things cannot complete you without the right person. Through her marriage, she's forced to shatter the illusions of maternal bliss, marital bliss, and she really has to deal with like his weird Madonna horror complex, his complete in consideration when she dealing with her infertility. And Charlotte dealing with her infertility crisis was so emotional and painful because at that time especially you didn't have that many storylines about young women going through that kind of treatment, and knowing, you know, Kristen Davis and her own part and her own, you know, stuff getting her babies adopted. Like, to me it was so interesting because we're so used to seeing Charlotte in this one box, and when she gets everything that she wants, you know, she's unable to find her sexual fulfillment, she's unable to, you know, get an actual intimacy because she has not been taught to treat those things as priorities in her life. It is to just make the marriage work, to have the children, to have the everything that you're supposed to have. And now that she has them, she has to unpack it because it's not fulfilling anymore. And that's really interesting because it exposes how the things that we are programmed to want can backfire on us in ways that we can be completely unprepared for. And what do we do when that happens? We pick ourselves up. And that's what Charlotte does. That's why it matters so much when Charlotte meets Harry, aka the best self-interest besides Steve, and he shatters all her expectations about what love is supposed to look like, who she's supposed to be with, and instead of believing that like her looks and her charm are enough, she actually has to learn to love without traditional expectations, with, you know, going outside of her usual WASP perspective. Like,
I miss you. And being away from you just only made it all the more clear how much I love you.
Charlotte.
Wait, let me finish. I don't care if you ever marry me. I just want to be with you. I would be lucky to have you. So if you can find some way to forgive me, if you could just call me or just ask me out again.
And I think that the scene that, you know, shows how she grows is when she goes through with her terrible wedding in season 6, and she would have crumbled into a million pieces if that had happened earlier in the series. But now she's in the point where season 6 Charlotte can take it in stride. She can deal with misfortune. She can deal with things not being perfect because she knows that perfection is an illusion. Perfection is a false narrative, and that she has the perfect person, so she doesn't need the perfect wedding. When I think about Charlotte, I think about that speech that Cat Grant gives in Supergirl.
See, the thing that makes women strong is that we have the guts to be vulnerable. We have the ability to feel the depths of our emotion, and we know that we will walk through it to the other side.
That's how I feel about Charlotte. That's who Charlotte is to me. She is someone who is vulnerable and gets through it because she has to in the end. And I think about that scene where she just had that miscarriage and she's so distraught and she doesn't really know if she can go to that birthday party, but she puts on that dress, she puts on her sunglasses, and she goes. And I knew then, in that scene, that she was my favorite character. Because that ability to go through things and work through it is important to me. And you know, Charlotte and I are like, we're different. Like, she's a straight WASP, I'm black and bisexual, queer, you know. But we're both Pollyannas, and we both believe in love. And we are both people who think that love is important. And I treasure her for that. She made me realize things about myself that I didn't realize. She made me realize how I'd hardened myself, how I'd really, you know, made myself feel cold and distant towards love. And she taught me that I didn't have to be that way anymore. One of the lines everyone really loved from Little Women, the 2019 Greta Gerwig movie, was when Jo says, you know, women have hearts and they have minds and they have so much, but like, she's so lonely.
I just feel like women, they have minds and they have souls as well as just hearts, and they've got ambition and they've got talent as well as just beauty. And I'm so sick of people saying that love is just all a woman is fit for. I'm so sick of it. But I'm so lonely.
And I think Charlotte was saying that for so long.
I've been dating since I was 15. I'm exhausted. Where is he?
Who? The White Knight? That only happens in fairy tales.
My hair hurts.
Charlotte, honey, did you ever think that maybe we're the white knights and we're the ones that have to save ourselves?
That is so depressing.
What's often misunderstood about being a Charlotte and loving Charlotte, and I think Charlotte herself, is this idea that wanting to be in love and wanting to make certain sacrifices to be in a relationship inherently makes you conservative or aggressive. I think part of the reason why I've gotten probably even more attached to Charlotte since the first time I ever wrote about her for the Mary Sue a few years ago is because I've had to come to terms with the fact that I really love being in relationships. I have been doing the single polyamory thing, like not being a primary, messing around, and I think that everyone has the individual right to date how they want, and that if they do so consensually, it's great. But what I realized for myself, especially as a woman of color who is not high on the desirability list anyway, is that it leads to a lot of emotional uncertainty. I have had, no strings attached casual sex or just, casual relationships where I was being casual because I felt like that was a thing to do. To go out and soy my royal oats and, have my IUD get tested all the time. I just got finished getting my test results back just recently, and I've done it the healthy way. I've really, try to make it empowering for me. And while it was empowering to explore my sexuality, I think I'm, just better at sex than I was before. I also have a lot of fiddling with my skirts. I also have a lot of sadness too, because I really want to be a girlfriend. I'm ready to be a girlfriend. I'm ready to be in a committed relationship. And I don't mean commitment as in monogamy. I don't really believe in monogamy, but I do believe in honesty. I believe in truth, and I believe in building something with someone. But I also realize that within that I need to come first. I need to be number one. As Lindsay Lohan said it many years ago, I want to come first. And that's been hard because, right now I'm 27, I'm going to be 28 this year. And like most people my age don't really want to commit, and also the kind of partner I have to be with or would want to be with has to meet a lot of criteria. And I think for a long time I felt it was very fulfilling to be a Samantha, to go on the prowl. But I think the thing we forget about Samantha is that she also has a lot of insecurities as well. She just treats them with sex. Charlotte at least is doing it because she wants that kind of companionship, and a lot of us do want that companionship. I want a partner, I want a person who asks me how my day is going. I want someone who loves spending time with me. I want companionship, and it doesn't matter if that person is like ace, it doesn't matter if that person is non-binary, it doesn't matter if it's trans, whatever. I don't care about any of that. I just want a person who cares about me and wants to grow with me and wants to build something with me, and no matter who comes in or who comes out, we are the unit. And I was so embarrassed to say that for so long because it's like, I'm 28, I'm supposed to be out here having a good time. And I am having a good time, and I have people that I have loving and very healthy sexual relationships with, but I also know that in my heart that I'm in a place in my life where like work is good, other things are good, but what I really want is to, like, right now, I'm in this corona and I want someone to snuggle with. I want someone to talk about books that I'm reading with. I want someone who we can talk about this terrible political climate that we're in. And when I think about Charlotte, I see someone who didn't compromise that. Like, she compromised a lot of things. She grew, she developed, she learned, but she never compromised her deep belief that soulmates could be real, and that you could be in love, and that being in love was a worthy aspirational thing and worth believing in. And I don't know, I'm sappy enough to admit that's how I feel too. So that's why Charlotte's my favorite. She is to me the reminder for all of us that we can be soft and that we can be sweet. And I think especially as a black bisexual, we're never thought that we're allowed to be soft and want those things. And when I see characters like that who are soft and feminine and are confident in that and are confident in what they want romantically, I admire that. I think you need balance because all of them are caricatures. But I think the reason why I love Charlotte and Charlotte means so much to me, and I hate when people kind of dismiss her because she, you know, as a prude, is that she's not a prude. She's like down to do a whole bunch of stuff. She's not even the most guy obsessed of the group. She just believes in Endgame. And I believe in Endgame too. That's why she's my sweetie pie. Love you, Charlotte. And I love Kristen Davis. Like, she's amazing. That's one of my white moms. You can tell that she's doing good things because she looks amazing. Her skin, her hair, the way she takes care of her black children, she is aces. Love that white woman. If you guys enjoyed this content, any of my other pop culture chicanery, or even you just enjoyed my face today, which I will say, you know I don't like the way I look, but today I feel good. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, please follow me, subscribe, like, comment down below about who's your favorite Sex and the City character. And if you want to support me more than that, I have a Patreon. And if you can't do that, that's totally fine. You can also follow me on Twitter. I'm funny. I also have an Instagram, and I also am the co-host of the PBS series It's Lit, so you can see me there too. So I'm doing a lot of things. So yeah, if you like this, there's plenty of other things to check me out in, and